since the uprising began. I've either walked or driven through Gemmazi, on my way to downtown and taking part in the demonstrations, or leaving Martyrs Square and heading home. I've walked by Urbanista countless times. I've been going to Urbanista for the past 7 years, since it opened. And I typically associate this cafe with laptop, smartphone, Wi-Fi, pretty much plugged in, and technology plays a critical role in any Urbanista experience. Unless you're sitting with friends and taking advantage of the terrace in the back, most of the time you're inside on your laptop or at least thinking about work you have to do. Because it's more than a cafe, it's a workspace. And it's become a place people discuss politics. And I think that's new for Urbanista. And I'm referring to the Gemmazi location, in particular because it is just minutes away from Martyrs Square and all the demonstrations taking place in Riyadh Salah to Samir Asir Square. The other locations do have students and politics being discussed, and I've been to all of them over the past few weeks. But the one in Gemmazi, I think, is playing a bigger role. And across the street, you have Kitle al-Wataniye. This is an old political party that has rebranded itself and is attracting a new following. They hold their discussions in Urbanista. When I've gone in, I've heard people discussing politics, discussing economics, and it's always with the phone or with the laptop. I mean, technology is part of it. People sharing things, people sharing ideas, people exchanging thoughts. You have people working on apps related to improving Beirut. You have urban transport apps, a range of urban planning ideas, and a node of sorts for youth and thought and technology and political awakening. And there is a moment here. I think there's a generational shift. I found myself having this conversation next to the managing partner of Urbanista, Houssam El Eid, and he agreed to discuss his thoughts on the youth's central role in this uprising and the way technology is changing our expectations. And I also asked him about what he thinks of the cafe culture today, as opposed to the older cafe culture that defined Beirut in the 1960s and early 70s, whether it was downtown in Martyrs Square or in Hamra. And Houssam is an optimist. He really believes the youth have within themselves to overcome the cynicism that we had as the older generation, the older generations that tried before in enacting change and ultimately failed. And he firmly believes the youth can do it. And we also discuss whether or not the goals he set out with when him and his wife, Zaina, opened Urbanista 7 years ago, whether or not Urbanista is delivering on that front. It's a friendly discussion with a business owner who sees potential in the months and years to come and sees optimism even though the economic situation is dire at the moment. For episode 41 of the Beirut Banyan, I'm Rani Shatah with Houssam El Eid, managing partner of Urbanista. When I think back to my parents' generation, when politics defined Beirut and Lebanon, going back to the 1960s, early 70s, their memories go back to Hamra.
Yeah.
And primarily to a few cafes that have disappeared. The Horseshoe, Motka, the Wimpy. On occasion, Faisal in front of AUB. It's a different era. And Hamra back then was the bustling heart of Beirut.
Yeah.
In addition to downtown, it had its own, perhaps a central component to the city. Culture, theater, movies, cafes. That's changed. In my student years, and perhaps maybe your life as well, the city changed fundamentally.
Of course.
Not just because of the Civil War, but just naturally. People started flocking to other neighborhoods.
New areas started to appear.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's really been the last maybe 15, 20 years at most that Gemmazi became a go-to neighborhood. And cafes have sprung up here, bars. You have bookstores further down the street. Madam Khayl took off as well.
Yeah.
I wanted to ask you, in your opinion, now that we've had some time to reflect on the way Beirut changed, and it's dramatically. Do you think Urbanista now represents something important, not just to Jemaisi, but to perhaps what we're seeing today down the street in Martyrs Square, that it's a place where people come to talk about anything, whether it's the revolution, whether it's current politics, whether it's demands for change? Do you see Urbanista as part of that story today?
Yeah, definitely. Urbanista, as well as many other, as you said, cafes, shops in Jemaisi, particularly. You know, the Jemaisi has a somehow special geographical attachment to Martyrs Square, and this is why it is considered one of the main hubs where revolutionary people they use it as a path to reach wherever they're going down to Martyrs Square or Riyad Salah Square.
Right.
So definitely Urbanista as a cafe or as a let's say a third place for people is bringing people together for so many things. Among it, for sure, discussing about the future, about where we're going, about how can we change the situation we are in. Also, so many reporters, they meet here, because again, it's close to where everything is happening. So they meet here, they do their meetings here, they write their reports here, they do interviews.
It's become a central hub of sorts for expression.
Of
what's
course,
happening.
the technology helped cafes in general to play a more dynamic role when there are any special events or occasions, because everyone now is working from his laptop.
Right.
Everyone is so you can be on the move. You don't need to be sitting behind a desk, or you don't need to be contained in a box.
To a sense, you don't even need a traditional office.
You don't need a traditional office. This is why the co-working spaces in the world are mushrooming, and it had really changed the way people work and how they perceive business.
These models that you're talking about, to me, they always remind me of Urbanista.
True, because this is what we wanted to do. We wanted to create a place where you can do anything, and you can live it the way you want to live it. This was the objective.
It's funny though, because you're mentioning Martyrs Square, which is just down the street. It's 5 minutes away from us.
Yes.
Martyrs Square had its cafe scene in the 1970s. It was a place where people went out. I mean, Martyrs Square is not the Martyrs Square of today.
Yeah.
But it's always interesting to me that it may have been a politically charged part of Beirut, but it's not where Beirutis went necessarily to think about politics. The location is more important than the actual...
Yes, definitely. But also, revolutions are created by young people. They're not created by old people.
Right.
Okay?
Yeah.
The 17 October revolution is created by the young aged 18 to 26. They are the main... the heart of this revolution, and those are usually either students or people started their working life.
Right.
Okay, so this is why they select areas that somehow are not main center areas, but rather bobo areas, if we can say.
Jemaisi
is considered one of these areas in Beirut, and Hamra did play this role back in the 60s and the 70s, because it was a new area. It was it had its own cafes, its own shops, it's close to universities.
It naturally attracts more students by default.
True.
It's sandwiched between LAU and AUB. Saint Joseph is not a walking distance from here. Even their Mono campus is not really.
Yes, I know.
So it's interesting that Jemaisi did become a student-friendly neighborhood, even though there's nothing really here.
True.
Yeah.
Because, as you said, because of the pubs, because of the nightlife, of what's happening, this is how it attracted people. And
Right.
and you know, Jemaise passed in several phases. Okay, the golden era, if you can say it, was when it was a nightlife place, and it was the only area where people can go out after Mono. So Mono
That's
closed.
true.
Then we moved to Jemaise.
You're taking me back now to my student years.
Yes,
Yeah, when I
same.
remember that Mono.
Mono, of course.
And then we'd stumble into Torino maybe when it first opened.
Yes.
Yeah.
So it started with Torino. It started with Le Rouge as a restaurant
Rouge,
here.
Wow, yes.
It was here
Just next door.
Yes. So this is how
I think every romantic attempt I made in those years was at
at Le Rouge. Okay, cool.
Most of them did not succeed. But you're right, Jemaise kind of just evolved on its own that way.
Yeah, it's like Soho in London. Jemaise is a reflection of Soho in London, out of the box areas, targeting people who are more early adopters, the people who dare to change, the people, the culture. This is what Jemaise is, and this is what Hamra used to play as a role at that time somehow. If I may say.
When you opened Urbanista, did you have that in mind? That you thought of a place that would mirror the old cafes of Hamra? Or was that
No.
It was unrelated?
No, unrelated.
Okay.
You know, because there's a whole different generation between us and
Right.
our parents.
Yeah.
Okay,
So it wasn't parental stories about their cafes?
No.
Okay, so it really is a fresh start.
Yeah, it's a fresh start. It's a reflection of who we are.
Can you tell me a bit about how Urbanista started and maybe your wife's role in this place?
Yeah, definitely. Urbanista is a dream that Zena, our CEO, and my wife.
Which one comes first?
It depends.
Both,
It depends where we are.
right. In Urbanista, she's both.
Of course. Everywhere she's both.
Everywhere,
So she always had a dream to open a place where she can spend the whole day in it. And
Away from you?
No,
I'm joking, I'm joking.
before meeting me.
Before meeting you?
Yeah.
Okay.
Long time ago.
Okay, yeah.
Because she always used to go to Starbucks to have coffee.
Yeah.
And she had the problem that she can't eat there. So she had to leave Starbucks, go home or go another place, eat, and then come back to Starbucks to work and to meet friends. And so she wanted to do a place where you can eat, you can have coffee, you can sit, you can see your friends, you can work, you can play, you can read, you can really do, you can spread your legs, you can really do whatever you feel like doing. And she did
the vision behind her.
Yeah, she's the vision, she's the passion. We look up to her in everything she's doing, and she works like hell, day and night, and we are very proud of what she's doing and what we are doing together.
And it's also, like you said, a reflection of how things have changed, not just in Beirut or Lebanon, but the world over.
Of course.
And you mentioned the laptop. I see people working on their phones, which to me is still unusual.
Yeah.
That you can get your job done on your phone.
Yeah.
Right now, you're witnessing people coming into Urbanista and talking about politics.
Yeah.
And do you sense that this moment, and you're hearing it on the streets, you're looking at it in Martyrs Square, do you sense on a personal level that this is a different momentum than what we've seen before? I mean, 5 years ago, Martyrs Square was alive.
Yeah.
You stink protests. 15 years ago, we saw Martyrs Square alive with March 14.
Yeah.
Do you sense that the momentum is different?
Yes, definitely. The momentum is different because the people changed.
Is that technology as well, that people have changed?
Okay. We have to be very clear that what made this revolution succeed is technology.
Technology.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's social media. It's it's Instagram. It's WhatsApp. This is the main weapon used by the revolutionary young people that made it succeed. So, like in 5 seconds, in 5 minutes, you can close the street.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's an irony that WhatsApp tax leads WhatsApp war against the state.
Yeah. Because you send a message on WhatsApp, okay, to let's say 50 people, okay, in a certain group, and you can close a street.
Yeah.
Okay, so before, let's say in the 60s, it was different. It was more difficult.
It's true.
And even in 2015, when there was the trash protests related to the trash, the young weren't that much involved. The people,
right. Although there were students, and there was a bulge of.
But the involvement now, as we realize from what we see down, is much more. And what we see people and what they are doing here. So they're involved. Maybe it's related to how they interact between each other. Because now they are aged 18, 19.
Right.
They were 16. Like in 2015, like 5 years ago, they were 14, 15.
Yeah.
So they built over the 5 years. Okay, they built their own pillars of changing things. I'm gonna give you an example that I think it might be right. Cursing. Okay. Let's talk about cursing.
Sure.
Because this is.
Central to the revolution.
Okay, I think you know why. I think for them, for the young people, cursing is not something bad.
Yeah.
Because for them, it's not something bad as the old guys or as we see it.
Right.
And you cannot curse this way.
So it's not offensive when you hear it being chanted.
Yes, because cursing is a statement.
Yes.
That they are using.
Yeah.
And now if you watch all the everything on American TV, how Donald Trump is being cursed on day-to-day basis.
Oh, he curses himself.
And
although he's
he
not representative of the youth.
But you know, this is why the use of language, they only translated.
Yeah.
They only translated to Arabic how they interpret what translation, what cursing is.
That's interesting. So the fact that the youth is determining the chants that we think back to now, and some of them are quite funny, but they're not the kind of chants you would have heard on the streets before.
Of course.
Because our sensitivities would have maybe prevented it.
True.
You know, I never thought about that even now what we're going to remember about this revolution is the youth's way of singing, or chanting.
Everywhere in the street here in Jamaica. So we have to understand their way of how they are doing the change, and accordingly their way of how they are using the places and the cafes and the restaurants and the pubs.
The way people are accessing information today is fundamentally different. Is that maybe accelerating things that would otherwise take time?
Of course.
Ideally, you have things that happen earlier than later. Otherwise, momentum just gradually dies down. And we're already yearning for a brand new Lebanon, and we're maybe setting our hopes a bit too high. Is that also, do you think, related to the way we interact with information?
Yes, definitely, and information, and you know, this is a double-edged sword. Because we want things fast. Okay.
Really fast.
Yeah.
We're refreshing our Twitter feed always.
And okay, we can close if we can close the street in 5 minutes, then we need a solution in 5 minutes. We're expecting to have a solution in 5 minutes, whereas reality is not the same. It can take months now to reach stability or to reach where we want to go. So yes, I think they adapt very fast. The young, they can play with the momentum and they can bring it in and out whenever they want.
Right.
So okay, let's say tomorrow, most probably most roads will be open. Okay, fine. Okay, but let's say if in 2 days from now someone will call, okay, by chance, let's close roads. Okay, so many will go down and close roads.
Right.
Okay, so they can play with they can adjust the momentum in relation to reaching their goal. It's definitely they have, and we have with them. We want to reach somewhere. We want to reach a goal that we have it in our head. Okay.
And this is all generations. I mean, it's
and this is all generations for sure. But the young ones are helping us, are boosting, keeping on going.
Right.
and this is great.
Let me ask you. Because I feel old now after this kind of conversation, and we are getting older. I mean,
Yeah, of course, we are a generation.
I'm gonna guess you're in your 40s.
46.
46. I'm hitting 40s soon, so we're closer to each other than
Yes, of
the
course.
average person that we see, not just in Urbanista, but on the street as well.
Yes.
And I feel a bit outdated now when I post something online regarding this revolt.
Yeah.
Whether it's an expression or a photo, I feel slow because I'm watching people, the way they're interacting with their social media. It's almost like seconds matter. It's not minutes, it's instantaneous. My worry is that this can this kind of balloon can pop. And that
From our side,
yes, because I don't, although I share this optimism with you that the youth is the emotion, and maybe that's the passion you need on the street, but I don't know if they are capable of really bringing about change. And I do think that it's the other generations that have been given a
the
chance.
means too.
The means, and also maybe the means, the tools, maybe the way we've dealt with Lebanon. I mean, it's our burden, it's our parents' generation, it's our grandparents. We're still around.
Yeah, it's a big fight, you know.
Yeah,
We are fighting a huge fight, but we are fighting four types of enemies. Okay, we are fighting corruption, a huge corruption. We are fighting old mentality and systems and parties,
Which are entrenched. I mean, they're so deeply rooted in the country. Yeah.
Okay, so we are fighting an enemy that is in the back of our head, which is sectarianism.
Yes.
Okay, and this is this requires rehab for the whole population. Okay, and a long process rehab because we need to work on ourselves. Okay, but we did break the wall. You know,
It's true.
what happened? We did break the wall, and what Gibran Twaini said in 2005. I think it's not anymore applicable in 2019. We overpassed.
Well, that's interesting. Meaning the ode that you shared. That it's outdated now.
It's outdated now.
That's interesting.
Because we don't care if we are Muslims or Christians anymore. Okay, and because of the 18 to 26 age people.
That's interesting. I didn't think of it this way. So you think the youth is less sectarian than us?
Of course, but again, we have all of us to go to rehab. We have to work on it. It's a long process to really get rid of sectarianism. But yes, they did break the wall. We went out of this cage that we were contained in, and this is great. And with all due respect to Gibran Twaini, but I think it's time to have a new oath. It's time to have an oath that really is more Lebanese than different religions. And
what about the new national anthem on Nahar's
it's
building?
Great.
That's a better,
It's
I
great.
think that kind of 50-50
It's perfect.
it's a definite reflection of what we've seen.
True.
Yeah,
And we know well that the Lebanese population, 60% are women and 40% are men. The woman is doing a great job in the revolution, and they are in the front line, and this is something great. And there are so many things that need to be changed in the Lebanese.
But let me ask you, this kind of, when you're describing the positive spirit of what we've seen the last 3 weeks, and the youth is definitely the force, and we, the older generation and the older ones, are pretty much on board. We're not reluctant. On the contrary, all of us are saying this is the right time to change. There's no leadership yet, or there isn't a group of names that I can think of right now, and I could think of names before. One of them was Gibran Twaini.
Yeah.
Even though he wasn't a traditional leader per se, he's a journalist. and Samir Asir, another journalist, turned politician, there were names available. Unfortunately, some of them were political party names too, and they kind of got maybe a little too involved early on. This time around, I can't think of a name, and if I do think of names, I have to think about it maybe too long, and then I go to the maybe names that are just beginning to emerge. They're not there yet. Do you think this is the right way forward, to leave it as just the youth?
For now, yes.
So 3 weeks in?
Yes, and it should stay like this as long as we didn't reach our goals. Because this is reality, this is the truth. There is no leadership for this revolution.
Right.
Any 20, 30 person group can say what they want to say, do their own activities down. So it's a combination of people.
Right.
Okay? This is the new way of how revolutions are done, at least with the young people.
Yeah.
There is no centralized leadership, and again, there are none to think of for the time being, because
you know, it's a good
parties.
thing for now.
Yes. But
do you think it's sustainable?
It's sustainable.
Okay.
It's sustainable for sure. But but later on, we need parties. We need new parties. Because parties, they create political life. And it's not organizations or I don't know, NGOs or whatever that they can create political life. We need parties. We need real parties, different from the old traditional parties.
Let me then ask you, and this is, I mean, we can go as deep as you want into this. There is an old party that has rebranded itself across the street.
Yes.
And I think they're called Kitl
Al-Wataniya, yes.
Is that the kind of change that you would like to see? And I mean this in a personal way. Or would you rather see a fresh slate altogether? So in other words...
No, a fresh one.
So just really beginning from this revolt onwards.
Yes, beginning from what we learned from this revolution.
Okay.
And beginning from what the Lebanese population they want their future to be. Okay, and how they are looking at it. Again, this is a major part of the population. We have another part of the population,
right,
that we are against now. Okay.
But you see it that way. And I mean, as bluntly as you'd like.
Definitely, I see it that way.
Okay.
So
it's not against their leaders. It's really populations.
For me, this is a political fight. It's not an economical fight. Okay. Because the economical problems are the outcome of what's happening politically.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
We are witnessing a change of the identity of Lebanon.
That's a very bold assertion. You believe that?
Yes.
What do you mean?
I will say it bluntly. Mainly, Hezbollah is taking us to another place, to another direction. They are trying to take us to something that doesn't look like us. Okay. They have their reasons. We don't agree with them. And then from this big problem, you have so many other problems reflected in corruption. But this is the major fight we're having without knowing, maybe without our intention to have. The people that are revolting down, they're asking for something that is totally that is far away from what the other side is trying to is saying or trying to make.
But that's so the broad you're seeing as almost the broad perspective that you're able to see that there is a structural problem that will need to be overcome.
Yes.
For this kind of revolution to work.
Yes.
And you would also say that the average person protesting, and let's say in that age category, the younger group, the younger protesters, don't necessarily see that, but that's what they want at the end of the day.
Of course.
That's interesting. So it's almost like there's an existential struggle right now on the streets.
Yeah.
And not everyone is aware that this is maybe a make it or break it moment.
Because everyone is seeing it from his own or her own perspective.
Yeah.
Okay. Every group, every party down there, everyone sitting at home is looking at it differently. But at the end, if you gather all the parts together, okay, you will reach this outcome.
Right.
Okay, we have a problem that is very big, that is so big. It will take us time to reach our goals, but I think we have to try, and I think we believe that we have an opportunity to take Lebanon to a great place.
Do you fundamentally believe that this is, at the end of the day, a revolution? That it's not just calls for reform? It's not just we want political and economic change?
Yes. It's a revolution in the new meaning of revolution. It's not a typical revolution.
I get in trouble sometimes for sounding too negative on this front. That my definition of revolution, I expect maybe quicker and more immediate, tangible results. But you don't see it that way.
Usually, quicker and tangible results is mainly achieved by the interference of the army. Usually, this is what happened in the revolutions. If we can call them revolutions, or by the
coup d'état in that sense.
Yes, okay, which is not the case, and it will never happen here in Lebanon to have a coup d'état.
You'd have to have coup d'état with a plural.
Yes.
Yeah, which never happens.
Yes. Yeah. But it helped us. The Southern Revolution helped us to step into another place and to move forward. Maybe not much. Okay, maybe we still have a lot to do.
Yes.
But it helped us for sure move forward. Now, the revolution, when things gets better and we reach, hopefully, our goals, it has to parties should be born from it.
Maybe because it's so early, but we'll have to see. Hopefully by the next election, there will be something like that emerging that people can actually turn to.
Yeah, but if let's say in the next election we're gonna take 15 seats, okay,
it's
out of
impressive.
it's impressive for sure, okay, but we need parties to take those seats because we are confronting parties.
Now, this is just a subjective question here. Do you think it's the energy of the street right now? Is it better served pushing on local elections like the municipality as opposed to the parliament?
You can't. No. You need parliamentary elections.
Parliamentary.
Yes, because the struggle is so big.
Yeah.
Okay, and the fight is so big. You need parliamentary elections.
Almost a head-on collision with the system.
And you know what we are asking for is not much.
Yeah.
Okay, we're asking for a independent government led by an independent person. Okay, that has legislative powers. This government. Okay, that will create different laws and the electoral law. Even if it's the same electoral law that we have now, there's no problem. But we have to go to elections within 1 year. But during this year, we have to organize ourselves.
And you see it beginning, and you hear it in its inception. Sometimes you hear it here at Urbanista, the conversations in the background. You sense that there's an appetite for that from now.
Yeah.
And I think. I've seen so many Facebook invites to political gatherings that happen here at Urbanista, which is striking.
They are.
I hope they're paying their tab.
Yeah, they are.
Now, just to wrap it up, what do you? And I mean this as somebody who has an economic stake in the well-being of Lebanon.
Yeah.
And someone who's invested at a time of instability and economic decline. Urbanista has succeeded and Urbanista has done well. Are you concerned at all that the longer this lasts, and I mean it in the not just the roadblocks, but I mean it in that banks are still closed, people are not living a normal life here. Things were already bad, but they have gotten worse. And maybe that's what people need to experience to come out and something better anyway. But the fact is, the economy is crashing. Is there any concern on your side that the longer this takes, the more people like you who have businesses here who depend on a sense of stability, that this will be detrimental to your well-being.
From an economical business perspective, definitely.
Does that factor in though? To
things
your...
are not good. Okay, but it wasn't good before. Before the revolution, things were also difficult. Now, roads are closed. Some places are closed, etc. People are not going out like they used to do before. But I think it's time for a change, and I think everyone in Lebanon, including businesses, including entrepreneurs, including teachers, including students, including we should all fight for the change, because we deserve to be to live a better life. Because what's the way we are living now, the way things are going now, and if it will continue like this, we're not going to somewhere good. So this is why we have to hold it. We have to be part of this and do all our best to hold our positions in order to reach a better Lebanon.
I appreciate the long view, and I find your optimism quite addictive. And I'm lucky because we're Facebook friends. I see it regularly on a daily basis. I'm reminded that it's not just the youth, it's our generation too.
Of course.
And I will keep coming to Urbanista.
Thank you very much.
Even if it's the last place still open in Lebanon.
No, we hope not. We hope so many places to open,
and I like that this cafe and other cafes as well is allowing a form of expression that's needed, and it is the perfect spot where technology and the written word, all of that converges here. And I do think it is an important part of this revolution.
We are. Thank you. We are. Again, it's Urbanista and other places, many other places, all over Beirut and all over Lebanon, that they are contributing to the change the people want, each in his own specific location.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Welcome. Thank you very much.
Daily episodes as the Uprising continues into its 4th week. To stay up to date, simply subscribe to your preferred podcast platform or go to our YouTube channel. You'll find us there. Until next time, I'm Rani Shatah, and this is the Beirut Banyan.